The problem with forgiveness is that we oftentimes think that when we're forgiving somebody else, we're giving them something like a free hall pass. It's like, well, I'm going to make the peace and I'm going to turn the other cheek and I'm just going to say, oh, don't worry about that. I'm just going to let it go. But that's kind of that's a surface definition of forgiveness. And it might be that the person you've got some forgiveness work to do with, maybe that person is someone you want to maintain a close relationship. Maybe you want to make the relationship better, deeper, and fix some of the old habits and old problems. And so you do want to forgive that person. You do want to get over it with them. And you do want to take the relationship to a higher, better, more communicative, closer kind of relationship. And then there's people to forgive in your life that's maybe they're perpetrators. Maybe they lied to you. Maybe they stole something from you. Maybe they physically harmed you. And, the appropriate boundary, appropriate boundary to set with that kind of person is to keep them at a distance. And so you're not really looking to improve the relationship. What you're looking to do is heal yourself. And so for me, that's pretty much the heart of what forgiveness work is all about. It's about me healing myself for myself. It's like, yeah, I want to be closer to my brothers and my sister, and what do I got to do that makes that better? And yeah, I want to be closer to my daughter, and yeah, I want to be closer to my wife and my mother, etc. And so I'll do the work perhaps face-to-face with them, or perhaps not face-to-face, but still I'm wanting a better relationship. But there's other people, other relationships in which I feel I've been harmed or I have been harmed, and the appropriate healthy boundary now is I'm keeping this person out of my life, not doing business with them anymore, not going to bed with them anymore, I'm not giving them my credit card anymore, whatever. But in either case, whether it's someone I'm trying to bring closer or whether it's someone I'm keeping at a healthy boundary distance, the work of forgiveness is about me healing my own inner trauma. It's about me healing my own wounds so that I can be free of the chatter in my mind, the fear, the hesitation. Maybe I've shut myself down in certain social relationships, or for sure I've shut myself down with that other person because they did blah-de-blah, or this happened or that happened. Whatever it is, I'm the one holding it in my body. And so as we talk about wounds, talk about forgiveness, we talk about healing, the first major question that I want to pose for you, if you're doing your own forgiveness work, is in whose body, in whose biology does your unforgiveness live? Whose body tissues are tense and holding, and whose body tissues have the wound? And the answer, of course, is yours. You're the one holding the unforgiveness in your body, or I'm the one holding the unforgiveness in my body. And it's costing me aliveness. It may actually literally cause disease in my body, could actually shorten my life for sure. It's sucking some of the fun out of my life, sucking some of the freedom. It's maybe shutting down my self-expression. And so the first question is, in whose body does my unforgiveness live? And that's a key question, because out on the street, the common guy, kind of the surface level version of forgiveness is, well, they did this to me and they did that to me and they are making me feel. You are making me angry, or you made me upset, or you're doing it to me. And that blame and that shaming, while it may feel a little good at the moment, it actually does nothing to help you heal. It does nothing to help you release the anger, the sadness, the trauma, the whatever's in your body. Can you release it and let it go for yourself? And so, as we do our own forgiveness work, of course, the first thing is to notice that you've got unforgiveness in your body. And so that's that first leap, is going from you did this and you make me feel angry, or you made me sad, or you hurt me. Let me take a drink of water real quick. Going from the blame over there, it's like my pain, my trauma's over there with you. Instead, it's like, oh, I've got trauma in my body. Oh, look, I'm angry. I'm uptight. I'm tense. I'm sad. I'm grieving. I'm afraid. Whatever happened, the unforgiveness is living in my body over here. Just forget about the other person. What you and I really want is to free ourselves up for ourselves. And so, yeah, it might be someone close to you, like a daughter or a mother or a brother, and you want to hopefully make the relationship better. Might be someone you're keeping far away, apart. But in any case, regardless of who it is, regardless of who did what, ultimately, forgiveness work is the opportunity for you to free yourself up for yourself. And so as we begin this conscious, aware journey of forgiveness work, and it's an ongoing process, the first thing is to notice that there's unforgiveness in your body. And no, it's not over there with that person. They're the ones that are making me angry, and they're the ones who are upsetting me. Where the pain is, where the dis-ease is, where the unease is, where the chatter is in me, in my body. And so the first step is to notice that there's unforgiveness in my body. And then, like maybe I don't want to wake up every day chattering about that thing that they did, and I'm so pissed off, or I'm so sad, or no, I'm never ever gonna blah de blah again because they always. So that step number 2 in my forgiveness process is, am I willing to do the work to free myself up of my own unforgiveness? And what that requires first is, or next, I should say, step number 3, that's not first, but it's step number 3, is to tell my story. Can I just tell my story of what happened? But there's some important rules here. There's some important empowering ways to tell your story. And for me to tell my story is, number 1, I need a qualified, safe listener. I can't tell my story about they did this and they did that and it's terrible and I feel sad and I feel angry. I need someone who's a safe listener, who's kind of like neutral. Not like a good friend who's like, yeah, that person's a jerk, aren't they? Who's just going to agree with you, and maybe they'll get triggered too, and maybe they're going to get upset too. You need someone who can be a neutral, almost passive, but certainly neutral and not triggered listener, who can be this space of listening so that you can tell your story of what happened. Hey, this is what happened between me and that person, and I just don't know what to do with it. I just really want to get it out of my body, and I just hope I could share it with you. I'm just hoping it's going to help me relieve some of it. And so you're telling your story, not to just anybody, not to someone at the bar, not to your friends who might say, yeah, that person's a jerk, but you're telling it to someone who's a qualified, safe listener. That's part A of that. And then part B is, you're just going to tell the facts. There's the facts of what happened, and then there's judgments and assessments. And we'll work on those too. But when you're telling the story, it's like, he did this. He grabbed my car keys and took my car and didn't even ask me, and he took off in the car. Those might be the facts of what happened. But then, that guy is such a jerk. and people think he's stupid, or whatever judgments or assessments you might have, that's not what happened. That's not what the fly on the wall saw. So as you're telling your story to your safe, qualified listener, you want to begin to train yourself to separate the facts from the judgments. And to the degree that you can, just get into, well, here's the facts of what happened. Here's what happened. And then, yeah, you can say, well, and then I judge that person. I judge that person's a jerk, and I judge myself just being so naive and trusting. I can't believe I just trusted that person to come into my life, and then they just walked all over me. So you have judgments about yourself. You got judgments about the other person. What I'm just trying to say here is make sure that you begin to develop a muscle to distinguish, to make a distinction between the facts of what happened and your judgments and assessments of the other person. And very importantly, what are the judgments and assessments that you have about yourself? And so that you're telling this person the story, this safe, qualified listener, and this person really is a good, qualified listener, they're also going to create space for you to begin to feel your feelings. Most of us, especially men, we're really good at this. We're just going to stuff the feelings down. We're going to stuff the sadness and the grief away. We might show anger, but sometimes the anger is just a cover for the hidden, suppressed, repressed sadness and grief. So key step number 4 in my forgiveness process is feeling the feelings. And I gotta be able to feel them fully. Hopefully my safe, qualified listener is a person with whom I feel safe enough to let some of that bubble up, and I might share. It's like, God, I feel so sad, or I'm just so angry, I'm so pissed at that person. You've got to feel the feelings, because the unforgiveness that's living in your body is repressed trauma. Most of us, I think maybe it's even all of us, but most of us have trauma from our childhood. We've got wounds from our childhood that have been buried deep in our body, because when we were young, we just couldn't deal. We had no idea how to deal with the feelings and the emotion and what the heck happened. And just because we can't deal with it, we just stuff it down in our body. And those hidden wounds, that hidden trauma, ends up running us like we're like puppets on the strings, just continuously replaying scenarios, continuously reinventing situations and circumstances with other people in our current life that are going to help us come face to face with that trauma, those wounds that we have yet to deal with. And so wounds, trauma, it's emotions, it's feelings stored in your body that you have not yet dealt with. And you've got to feel it to heal it. If you want to deal with it, if you want to work the unforgiveness out of your body, you got to feel the feelings, because that's why there's suppressed emotions in your body. That's why there's trauma and wounds from 40 years ago still in your body, because you stuffed it down and you have yet to fully feel it. And that's what it means to let it out, to get it out of your system, to get the toxin, this toxic emotion, this toxic suppression, this toxic stuff that's unconsciously running your life. You got to feel the feelings and just let it slowly bubble out. This is not like an 8-step process you're going to do one time. It might take multiple replications. It may take weeks, could take months. You're going to slowly unwind. You're going to discover what's in your body. You're going to tell the truth about it. You're going to feel it. And in the process of telling the truth about it and feeling it, it's going to slowly work its way out of your body. And that's what it means to heal unforgiveness. And step number 5 is I'm going to begin to take ownership of my story and my feelings. The feelings are in my body. The story is in my head. It's my story. The other person that I had this incident with, whoever did what to me, I bet they've got a completely different story. They're probably They're probably the hero in their side of the story, right? And even though that you've been crushed by what happened, maybe they're feeling crushed by what happened. It's like they're saying the same thing about, and they're saying something about you too, maybe. But in any case, I've got feelings in my body about what happened. I've got a story chattering in my head, and I'm going to own it as my story. Maybe nobody else is going to agree with my story. It doesn't matter. It's my truth to me. Maybe no one else is feeling what I'm feeling about it. It doesn't matter. It's my feelings. It's what I'm feeling. So I'm going to own my story and my feelings. And then step number 6 is I'm going to establish boundaries. Now, it might be like with someone close to me, my daughter or my mom or my sister, I might make a request. It's like, hey, here's what happened to me, and when you do this, I have this kind of reaction to it, and I'm struggling with this, and I want to have a better relationship with you. I have a request. Can we, the next time this situation comes up, can we talk about it in this way? Can we not do X, Y, and Z? That would work a lot better with me. And it would be a negotiation back and forth. Or there may be the person who has physically harmed you. It may be the person who you can no longer do business with. Maybe the person that you are not going to bed with anymore. That person, the boundary you might be having with that person is, you're going to stay over there and I'm going to stay over here, and I'm not going to allow myself to get as close and as enmeshed with you as I did before, because it just doesn't work for me. What works for me is a healthy boundary of, you stay there, I'll stay here. I don't even need to do my forgiveness work with you. I'll do it with someone who I trust, who's safe for me. And then we move on to step number 7, which is, are you ready to let it go? Once you've told your story, once you've felt the feelings, once you've taken ownership of, this is my story, this is my feelings, are you at a place now where you've freed yourself up enough to where you can let the story go and let the feelings go? And you know what? The answer might be no. And if you're not ready to let it go, fine. Go back to step 1. Find the unforgiveness that's in your body. Are you willing to do the work? Tell your story, feel the feelings, go back through it again. This might be a rinse, what is it? No, what is it? A wash, rinse, repeat cycle over and over again. And slowly we're going to clean the toxin of the unforgiveness out of our body. It might take multiple repetitions over weeks and months, whatever it takes. That's why it's called doing the work. So that's my, let's call it an 8-step forgiveness process. Hope that's useful for you. Would love to hear from you in the comments about, was this useful for you? Was it not useful for you? What's going on in your life with your forgiveness work? Would love to hear from you. See you guys later.